This is an LSDA Grade 2 classroom function lock available from lockpeddler.com. These particular style locks get their name from their usage. They're typically used in classrooms. As you can see right now, this lock is in a lock position. But with the turn of a key, you can unlock this lock, essentially making this lock a passage lock. And of course you can always get out whether it's locked or unlocked from the inside by depressing the lever. But the sole purpose of this particular style lock is to keep people from locking it on their own. In classroom settings, what was happening was students would just simply turn the knob on the inside of a lever and lock their teachers out. In this case, you have to have a key to lock this lever. Now, if you're going to take one of these things off and reinstall it, you're going to need to know how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to remove one and then reinstall one. Step 1. Now, needless to say, if you do have a classroom function lever and you want to replace it with another classroom function lever, you're going to need to know how to take it off. And first step of removal, there's a little hole right here, and there's a little spring retainer. You press that spring retainer in, and you pull your handle directly out, and then just set that aside. We'll move on to step 2. Now, step 2 of removal, you're going to want to remove this bevel plate, also referred to as a rose. Just counterclockwise rotate this, and just pull it directly off, and then set that aside. And now we'll move on to step 3. This particular ring that you're looking at now is secured on the bottom and also on the top with just 2 screws. This is actually a spring, and they call it a clock spring, and that controls the return of your lever. Otherwise, the lever would just go down and stay down, and that would definitely be counterproductive. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this real fast. I use a drill driver for this, but you can use any Phillips head screwdriver, and then this just pulls directly off, and then just set that aside. We'll move on to our next step. Step 4, we're going to remove this ring, and this ring actually just holds the lock on the door itself with 2 screws, one on the bottom and one at the top, and then we're just going to take this ring and set it aside, and we'll move on to our next step. Step 5 of removal, just simply grab the lock on the outside of the door, and you want to kind of rock it back and forth and pull it out just like that, and it comes out in your hand, and just set that aside. And now our final step, we're going to remove this latch. It's just held on by 2 screws. And that is step 7, just like that. Now I'm going to show you how to reinstall. First step of installation, you're going to use your 2 3/4 back set latch and just simply place it in the side hole. Now, 2 3/4 is your primary commercial back set. We do have these locks available in 2 3/8, which is a residential back set, but we're going to go ahead and install this particular latch because this is more of a commercial style lock, and predominantly these are installed in commercial buildings. It's secured with 2 screws, one on the bottom and one on the top. And just like that, we're going to move on to step 2. For step 2, you want to pay very close attention to this lip right down here, this lip here, here, and here. And when you go to slide your lock into place, there's a little window that you can see right here where everything lines up. You want to make sure that this plunger fits between these 2 teeth. And then this little lip here fits on this little tooth right here and here. And just kind of push it into place. And you want to test for operation. And everything is working just fine there. Now, of course, in order to test for operation, you want to make sure the lock is currently in the unlocked position. Otherwise, this lever is not going to go down. But the lever on the inside will always rotate, no matter if it's locked or unlocked. We'll move on to step 3. For step 3, we're going to install this ring, which actually holds the lock on the door itself. And it installs with 2 simple screws. These are Phillips head screws. Now I use a drill driver, but you can use any common household Phillips head. That's your top one. That's your bottom one. Now we'll move on to our next step. Step 4, we're going to install our clock spring ring. And this spring ring is responsible for the return of your lever, so when you depress it, it'll spring back. You want to make sure that this little piece here slides down this valley when you're installing this. And then it installs with 2 simple screws at the top and the bottom. Now we'll move on to our next step. Step 5, we're going to install our rose or bevel plate. It's basically just an ornamental plate that covers this spring ring here. And as you can see, there's a little channel and there's a little divot. You want that divot to go into that channel, and then you want to rotate clockwise. When you do that, it holds this bevel plate